Hello guys, how's it going? My name is Dalaran, and today it's another first look video for BFA. But before we get into the video, I did want to say this. I asked 100 of you guys to subscribe, kind of half joking, and you guys honestly broke what I wanted. You broke my expectations, and more than 100 of you subscribed. That being said, I only asked for 100 of you, but a lot more than 100 subscribed, so I'm going to have to punish you. Now I want you to watch this Pandaren breathe through his mouth over and over. Not something cool like an undead rogue or an orc rogue or a human rogue. No, I want you to watch something truly hideous, truly disgusting. A Pandaren rogue. That is my European rogue, so you're probably gonna see me playing Pandaren rogue. If anything, the Pandaren rogue looks a lot like me. Anyway, let's get back to the mage video. So hello, how's it going? My name is Dalaran, and today we'll be taking a look at mages in BFA. Now, I guess I should start saying this with every video. This is early, this is beta, a lot of stuff is going to change, but mages so far, they feel pretty decent to play. I will be honest up front. There was barely any changes done to mages when you compare to warlocks, hunters, or even rogues. There was barely anything new added. For the most part, you actually lost a lot. So what I'm talking about is maybe like the passives from your artifact weapons. You lost a lot of those. So you're pretty bare bones, but you also still play just fine. What I like about Mage, and I guess the only thing they really gave you in terms of the flexibility, I'd like to talk about specializations like Assassination or Survival. Pick whatever talent you want, it doesn't really matter to your damage that much. You really get to customize and craft the way you want to play. With mages, you really have the same old talents you had. So for the most part, you are going to be playing very similar builds. What is nice though is how powerful you want to be. Mages have always had that unshackled power to them, and it feels really powerful to just drop down a rune that increases your damage by what, 40% or something, and just go off with damage and deal insane burst damage how you wanna. So that's something that has stuck with mages from Legion. So I will say off the bat, if you're somebody who's looking for insane changes to all of the specializations in Mage, you're probably not going to find it in this video or in any of the future updates, unless they do something radical with mages altogether. But if you're somebody who enjoyed mages and what they have, well, this video will go over how all the specs feel, which specs feel good, which specs feel don't, but for the most part, they feel very similar. Let's start with Arcane, the specialization that I had the least experience with in Legion and probably the most amount of time I've played in BFA. This spec honestly just feels good to play. I mean, the rotation is not quite the most complicated thing in the world, and I like something that is difficult or even in some cases uncomfortable or very weird to play because I like to challenge myself. But when it comes to Arcane Mage, it's all about building up those arcane charges and then blasting the enemy back to back. Once you have 4 charges, you really are chunking the enemy every single global. So then it's really all about working on mana. Also, abilities like Arcane Missiles are unshackled. You don't have to wait until a lucky proc. You are a mage. You are a master of the arcane. Why would you wait for a proc in order to use a powerful spell that just costs literally a shit ton of mana? You can cast those abilities whenever you want to. And they have some synergies, some fun synergies within your talents that you may be able to take advantage of. But past that, that's really about it. You're still gonna run in the middle of enemies and arcane blast them and arcane explosion all over the place. You're going to spend your charges on arcane barrages to cleave down your enemies. Whenever you do get procs of clear casting, you're either going to spend those on your explosions or you're either going to expend those on your missiles. So I think from a player perspective, it gives you more control to the player. Instead of having to fish for procs, you just build charges and spend them and then kind of try to figure out, okay, do I have the damage, do I don't have the damage? It really just allows you to use abilities at free will, and you get to generate your own procs if you so wish. That's kind of part of the fun of the Arcane Mage. The only thing that I felt was going to be really weird and really weird to play with is the fact that you have arcane power on GCD. Really because you're a caster. GCD makes it so that you have to spend at least 1 second just activating the ability. You'll press it, then you have to wait 1 GCD in order for the GCD to go down. So you're losing already 1 second on arcane power. But then you're losing another second trying to start casting a spell, because you start casting a spell, finish the spell cast, now you have you already lost 2 seconds of arcane power. So that felt really weird to play with, and that was the only thing that really bothered me. But combining together arcane power with Palm, which is off the global cooldown, you can really get 2 arcane charges back to back blasted in the enemy and kind of catch up on a little bit of the GCD with all the GCD changes to really give yourself oomph in terms of damage. I feel like Arcane felt decent. It felt really good to play. It wasn't something that made me giddy or giggle like Marksman Hunter did or Demon Warlock did or basically 3 specs of Rogue, but it felt very reliable. And I guess sometimes if you want to have some stability in terms of how you want to deal damage, Arcane Mage is probably going to be the stable relationship you've been looking for. Then let's set up a little bit of fire, and this specialization really has a potential in terms of how you can play. One of the things they did, which is something I could never experience, is threw in some legendaries, like the legendary belt that made Scorch kind of an execute mechanic. Scorch will always crit on enemies that are 30% or health or less and will do more damage, so those constant crits will give you more procs back to back to back. Then they added another Lego, which is the bracers. So sometimes when you get yourself a free Pyroblast in there with that charge, every time you spend that charge, you have a chance to, if you cast a Pyroblast for its full duration, it will do even more damage, so it gives it like this interesting synergy. Those legendaries I've never been able to play around with, and playing with those legendaries in BFA feels actually pretty exciting. So for the most part, Fire Mage got nothing new except 2 of your legendaries and your artifact weapon baked back into your talents. So if you're somebody who enjoyed more or less same fire, I think you'll be able to play with every single toolkit you can. Which I was actually kind of sort of saddened by, because there wasn't any crazy new abilities, crazy new talents that are just completely game changing, because I love change. But for fire, if you enjoy more of the same, you can enjoy more of the same. It's a reliable spec with a high amount of mobility, a lot of insta-cast, and you can blink around all over the place. The only thing I do miss is the ability for you to blink and heal yourself. That was really cool, but that's stuck with your artifact weapon. You can still take a talent similar to that, where you blink and you get your shield up, but then you have to choose between that and Shimmer, and I really value mobility. Overall, fire feels really good, and it feels great in terms of the procs and the playstyle. Your rotation is never going to be the same, and with the legendaries being baked as talents, I was able to at least play around with parts of it here and there. Although I won't say the fire is going to be one of the specs that I'm really jazzed up in playing, mostly because I feel like I've kind of outgrown what the mage is all about, and I love change. I like things that are new. So Fire Mage, for the most part, is just more or less the same experience most people experience in Legion if you play Fire Mage as a main. What feels good about fire is the predictability of your damage. You know when you have high amounts of damage, and it's, again, like Arcane, reliable, just in a different way where it's more about crit based rather than you build it up the charges for yourself. And then we got Frost, the specialization that I honestly enjoyed in Legion, and I actually very much enjoyed in BFA. Again, I will say this, as I said before, mages feel for the most part the same. So that familiarity of what a Frost Mage is about, with a few talents and artifact weapon baked into the trees, also one more talent that we're still waiting to find out what it is, as well as other traits being, again, baked back into the talents, more or less feels more the same. I've enjoyed Frost in Legion. I like the ability to slow my enemies down to a grinding halt and just AoE them down. I feel like out of the 3 specializations of Arcane, Fire, and Frost, Frost just resonated with me on some sense or another. I like the change from going for roll the bones playstyle Outlaw Rogue where everything is RNG, so something like Fire Mage just didn't really quite suit me, but something as predictable and in some cases stiff as Arcane wasn't something I really wanted either. Frost Mage ended up being a specialization where I make my own procs happen with Ebon Bolts, with some crits for Frost Bolts, and it's a mix of controlled procs and bursts and a mix of randomness. So there's a little bit of both, and I really enjoyed that playstyle for a ranged class. I really felt like the Frost playstyle was very strong and something that just sang with me. So in BFA, they're more or less the same Frost. You still can AoE enemies to live in hell. You can basically barely survive just a pack of 20, 30, 50 mobs that you're just slowing down and raining Frost over and over on top of. And that feels really good to play. That playstyle of just taking a bunch of enemies, cutting them together, and doing that over and over feels really powerful and feels great overall. So with overall being said, mages feel like more or less the same as they were in Legion, and for some people this is good, for some people this is bad. Generally, I like to gravitate to classes, especially when it comes to expansions, that are new and exciting and there's something new to cover. Maybe there's another playstyle, another build, there's some great new talents that alter an already fun and existing playstyle, and with mages you don't really get that much more of it. If you wanted to, you could spec mages to exactly how they've been in Legion, with all your artifact traits and everything, for the most part. But for the most, I'd say they're alright. They feel great. And for me, as somebody who enjoyed Frost in Legion, I think I might end up playing Frost in BFA, mostly because it is something that I know, it is because something I enjoyed, and it is something that I loved in Legion. As for Fire and Arcane, if that's something you enjoyed, chances are you'll have a very similar feel to it. I feel that Frost Mage, at least out of all the specs, might be my top 5 in terms of classes I want to play and level, but so far I can't say definitively that it'll be my top 5. Although it is nice to have, you know, the game ever changing, going from Legion to BFA, going from expansion to expansion, but we still have more of the same in the game, and that is always nice to see out of World of Warcraft. So that's my take on mages. Let me know, guys, if this is something you are even thinking of playing in BFA. Although I honestly wouldn't blame anybody if you are thinking maybe it's time to swap out of the mage, as the Warlock, Shaman, Boomkin, and even Shadow Priest are looking that much more exciting if you're somebody who loves new and exciting changes for classes. But if you're somebody who likes the same old, I can't blame you. They all feel pretty great, they feel pretty reliable, and they feel pretty free in terms of how you want to play. Thank you guys so much for watching. I hope you enjoyed. As always, subscribes, likes, as well as hitting the notification bell is very much appreciated. Thanks so much for watching. Sorry this video was shorter than others, but I tried to cover the mage in my first impression as thoroughly as I could, and it feels like I really came through everything because there wasn't too many changes to talk about. Thank you guys. I'll see all of you in another video.